So here's the piece that Lyle left me after his demonstration on managing burls on the 23rd of April. So he half finished it. You'll see me making really light cuts here. There's kind of 2 points to that. One, Lyle used a glue block because we knew this was going to be a pretty small piece going into the demonstration because we had a time limit of 2.5 hours. So it's on a glue block, which I inspected to make sure it was still secure. 2 points in that. Always use a faceplate if you're doing hollow forms, unless you're doing real small, but the other disadvantage there is that we left it overnight. So as that green wood, the green burl shrinks, it's going to crack away from the glue block is the possibility. So 2 points in that. Try not to use a glue block for hollow forms unless they're really small. Second, don't leave it on the glue block overnight. Third is if you're going to start hollowing, finish hollowing. Don't leave hollowing overnight because the hollowing in this, which you'll see coming up in the video, is very difficult to do because the upper part became distorted. So I had to take very light cuts and be very careful in finishing this piece. Love seeing the green wood that's still there. Green wood. Well, it's redwood. The wet wood maybe is a better way to describe it. You can see that as I make those cuts down the base or this left hole. You still have wet wood that needs to be hollowed out, turned to a thin wall so it can dry so I can sand it. So here I'm just getting rid of some of the waste wood back there so I can start seeing how far the void that's in the vessel goes. Trying to see where I'm going to put the foot. I can kind of start seeing the line as I sneak up on it. But the big thing I was trying to accomplish here is I didn't want the void to go into the foot and affect how the vessel sits on the table. So I wanted a solid base or foot on the vessel. So this is all just being done with Lyle's bowl gouge, Jamieson grind, his signature bowl gouge. It's got the parabolic flute, swept back wings, and there's a 60-degree angle on the bevel. So you can see the shape starting to develop as I continue the lines that Lyle started on the outside of the vessel. And you'll see me turn the lathe on and off and look at the shape and look at where the void is. You take away too much wood and it could ruin the shape. It could, so everything as I get closer and closer to the lines I want, everything becomes smaller cuts, stopping more often, looking at it. You'll see me in a little bit feeling the wood, which I'll explain in a minute. I believe here I'm sharpening. In cutting this burrow with all the bark, the inclusions, the dirt that's left in this burrow, I find that the tool got dull really fast. I edited most of my sharpening out, but you'll see me, especially as I get closer and closer to my final lines, I want the sharpest tool possible so I don't have to sand much. So you're going to see me shear scraping here. And all I'm trying to do is, now I'm taking even lighter cut than the push cut. Shear scraping to sneak up on this to get that line just right. Sorry about the view of the back of my head or my ear, but I'm kind of dancing and swaying with the lathe, trying to just take the smallest amount of wood away so that I can match that curve on the upper part. Didn't even realize my head was in the shot. Beautiful character coming out, and I'm starting to see right where the foot's going to be. You can see where the foot's, or the void is closing up. Now, I didn't record my voice while I was doing this, so I'm standing here watching the video trying to remember what was going through my mind. I was in the zone at the time, and everything was quiet in the shop in the morning, and I was just having fun. And with the shear scrape, I can just see how that line continues right through to the bottom of the vessel. So now you'll see me stop the lathe a bunch of times. You can see where the wet wood is still, and you'll see me feel it. And it was advice Lyle gave me, I think it was when we were doing the balusters. Your feel, the sense of feeling a flat spot or hump in the surface, you really can't see it sometimes with the wood spinning. You could put a white background behind it, but the best method is to feel across that surface and feel those little undulations, so you know where you need to take a little bit of wood away or leave some wood to get rid of a flat spot. So you'll see me do this a couple times as I'm finishing the bottom of this vessel. Because the hard part about this too is you can't really sand it on the lathe because of the void. So if you sanded it when the lathe is turning, what it would do would sand one edge crisp and then round the other edge over as it passes by the sandpaper. So now I'm going to try to blend this up into the work that Lyle did, which is a little out of round, so I got to be really careful that I don't change the shape at this point. So I'm just doing real light. You can see the shavings are real small coming off. Real light shear scrape to get rid of some of the flat spots and transition between the 2 stages. So now I'm making decisions of how big I want the foot. I know that I want to get the void that's right at the bottom there out of the foot. And you can see the little hump down there at the bottom. So what I can do is just extend it down farther than I think I want it to sit on the table. That way I have a place to part it off at. Still not happy with it. Just one more cut. Now we're going to finish off the hollowing before I take it all the way down to the foot, which is kind of cool because you can see the cutter through the void. And this is pretty boring, so I edited most of this out. Like I said, I had to make real light cuts because it was the upper part had already moved, and it was hard to blend into the upper part because the wet wood had dried on the top part, but not the bottom half. So it took me a little bit longer than it normally would to hollow this vessel. Again, the advice is if you're gonna stop before you start hollowing. If you're gonna start hollowing, finish hollowing. Makes it much easier. But watching the laser disappear, we'll watch a couple more cuts here, I think. Pretty boring, pretty easy. So a close-up of Lyle Jamieson's hollowing system in action, which y'all got to see during the demonstration. If you didn't get to see the demonstration, make sure to go to Lyle's YouTube and his website, lylejamieson.com, and you can see when his next IRD, I think his next one's going to be in June. You do see a line that I drew on the outside. That was a tool mark that was right in the center of that void. And so what I did is I drew it there so that I could make sure that I transitioned between the two with the cutter so I could see the laser move past that to get rid of that larger tool mark. Now that I have it hollowed and I'm happy with that, we're going to get rid of some more of this waste wood, and we're going to start thinking about where we're going to part it off. Now, in watching the video, there is one thing that I think I forgot to do, and that is normally you're going to draw the line where the laser is in the bottom, so that I know exactly where the bottom of the vessel is going to sit on the table. That way I can make the bottom an even wall thickness. But at this point I had started so many times and measured, I didn't want to put all of that measuring and marking on the, I didn't even mark it, but I kind of knew where I was going to end it. So much safer to draw a line so that you don't either make a funnel or leave too thick of a bottom. If you leave too thick of a bottom, then you could get cracks and everything else. This is just a parting tool, so at this point I'm just taking it all the way down to about, I think, 1/4 inch, maybe a little bit more than that, because what I want to do is leave it now so that the bottom dries. So I want an opening between the waste wood. That's what you're going to see with the parting tool, is I'm going to make about a 1/2 inch space so that air circulates around the bottom. And then I can leave this overnight. It'll dry, grind off the nub, and be able to sand it. All right, so when next morning I came back and sanded everything. This shows the reversing process. In this particular case, obviously a vacuum chuck wouldn't have worked. I could have used a jam chuck, but the void that was in it came so close to the neck. If I were to press on it or press the tailstock up, I was worried about cracking that little space in the void, or the wood that was left between the void and the rim. So I opted to use this padded jam block so that I could capture it from the outside, so that I wasn't as likely, because it's past the void where it's capturing it, in some more solid, beefy wood, so that I didn't have to worry about it. So after I reversed it, sanded it, Lyle likes to put a groove in the bottom to make the bottom a little bit more special and look like it's turned. So in his tradition, I cheated a little bit and used a little pointy tool instead of my spindle gouge or detail gouge, but I think it came out fine. It's not real visible in burl pattern. So after I put that done, after I finish that, we have the finished piece. So 2 coats of poly, wipe on poly, buffed on the BO buffing system is all I did. So there's the story. Beautiful piece. Hope you enjoyed his IRD and me finishing it. Thank you for watching. Help me out. Hit the like, follow, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Hopefully I'll be making some more comment. In fact, there's rumors that I videoed doing the B side of the burl. So stay tuned for that here